Hi, my name is Nathan and welcome to the Daily Word. On today's episode of the Daily Word, we'll be in 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. Let's read the scripture together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
If anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for his family, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever.
Our daily word for today is the word provide. Let's say this word together. Provide. So what does the word provide mean? Well, another word for provide is supply. So for example, if people are hungry, you provide them food. You supply them with food. There's a need there, and you provide what's needed. In a classroom, what's needed is education or teaching. So the teacher provides the teaching and the education because there's a need there. So to provide means to supply or to give what's needed. So now that we have a basic understanding of the word provide, let's put it back into our scripture. Now what we hear in this scripture has to do with family. I know that in all families there are challenges, and in some families there are more challenges than other families. Even in pretty peaceful and happy families, I'm blessed to have a happy family and to have had a great upbringing. Even in those families, family can be hard and family can be a challenge. Oftentimes family are the people that are the most challenging at times to communicate with, to get along with, and we all have instances or examples of how family can be a challenge. And what Paul is telling Timothy to relay to the church is he's saying that if you neglect to care for your family, you are neglecting the call of Christianity on your life, and you're worse than someone who doesn't even believe. So take a second and think about that, that you providing for your family, and this is your family. This is not just your favorite sibling or your favorite relative. Your family is intricately related to your faith in Jesus Christ. It's not an option. It's not something you can choose to do. But your faith in Jesus is linked to how you supply and provide for your family in need. So one thing that Paul is telling Timothy to teach to the church is he's saying that God has given you this family. God has given you that relative or that person in your family that is so hard to get along with. Maybe there's been a feud. Maybe there's been an argument and there's been a fracture in a relationship. God has given you that person. God has given you that person not just to be linked with in blood, but to provide for. That perhaps in your family, maybe you're the only believer. In your family, maybe you're the only one that knows Jesus. And that doesn't give you a license to leave the family and just make the church your family. But they're your family for a reason, for a purpose. And that's not something to take lightly when you think about your faith and what you're called to do as a Christian. You're called to love your neighbor, to give of yourself for your neighbor. Not because they love you in return or they give you things back, but because love emanates from your spirit as you've been reborn in the image of Jesus, and that goes to your family too. So one thing we can't do is love all of our neighbors, but then distance ourselves from our family. Think about your family right now, and think about if there's anyone in your family that you've cut off spiritually, that you've cut off emotionally, and ask the Lord to be the spirit of reconciliation in that relationship. Ask the Lord to change your heart. And if that family member is in need, which they are in need, they need Jesus, but they might have physical needs too. But ask the Lord to reveal ways that you can provide for them. Maybe that's your only ministry. Maybe you're not called to be a pastor or a leader at your church, but you're called to minister to your family. And especially to those family members that don't treat you right, that have done things to hurt you in the past. Your forgiveness, your love for them, perhaps is the bridge for them to meet Jesus. So think about that. Think about how you can provide for your family, all of your family. How can you be a minister of reconciliation? How can you be light to that family that God has given you? Well, that does it for today's episode of The Daily Word. If you liked this video or you found it helpful, go ahead and click the subscribe button down below. And maybe go ahead and try to use this word in practice. What are some ways that you provide for people or people provide for you? But go a little bit deeper in the context of the scripture and think about your family. Think about those people in your family that it's so hard to get along with, and then ask the Lord how you can provide for them. And let the Lord do a miracle in your life where He will give you a heart that loves them and wants to provide for them and wants to seek reconciliation with them. Let that be a miracle of the Lord's presence in your life. Well, my name is Nathan, and this was your Daily Word. See you next time.